Hungry Eater here, December 4th, time for more Not a Creature Was Stirring. The importance of gender roles in raising children has been popping up a lot lately in the national conversation, especially when something like, say, Lego, that's always been gender neutral, suddenly starts dividing itself. So the question is, what makes something girlish versus boyish, and how narrow does the definition have to get? Well, I've got something pretty girly here, but let's see if there's anything for everyone to enjoy. It's called A Little Fairy Magic. This is definitely the kind of book that if you handed to a 5-year-old boy, he'd go, "Ew, that's girl stuff." Especially if he was from Tennessee. It was Phoebe's birthday, and she was fizzing with excitement in her new fairy costume. She loved her shimmery wings and her floaty pink dress. For the first time during Not a Creature Was Stirring, we have a mouse family who lives a relatively human life. They sit on couches, they have bookcases, they even subscribe to the newspaper. They get the Mouse Times. Does that mean that they live in a community also called Mouse? Or is it like USA Today and it's just like the nation's newspaper for mice? Actually, when I read books about anthropomorphic animals, especially picture books, I like to sometimes look at the text, just the text and not the pictures, and see if there's anything in the text specifically saying these characters are mice. And sometimes there isn't. This book could very easily have just been about a little girl and her brother. Yet they are clearly mice, and they don't wear clothes unless they're wearing a costume. Also, I can't help but notice that the two parents are brown, but both of the children are white mice. I wonder what color the postman was. Phoebe has had a big fairy-themed birthday, and now she's under the impression that she herself is a fairy. Somehow she didn't get the memo that just because you're dressed as a fairy doesn't mean you can do magic. You know what would have been cool would be if this story had been set in Scotland, because the Scottish idea of the tooth fairy is a white mouse with wings. Did you know that? She comes across her brother who's playing pirates. But to his credit, he realizes that just because he's dressed as a pirate doesn't mean he can stick slow-burning matches into his beard and drink rumfustian. She tries to catch a ladybug so she can turn it into a parrot for Sam. It's so strange how these are little people living in a clearly mouse-sized world. This ladybug is the size of a guinea pig to her. Then she goes inside to try and make birthday cupcakes, and look at these tiny, witchy little kitchen supplies! Who makes these? Is there a mouse who works in an iron shop or something? Pottery! Little cubes of butter! What mouse milks a cow to make butter? Then poor Sam breaks the mast of his ship. Ooh, look at his mouse ears pirate logo. That would be a fun crew for One Piece. And Phoebe finally does do a real magic trick. She replaces the broken mast with her own fairy wand, producing a ship that looks like it's about to sail off to Carolot.
I didn't really do fairy magic, Mommy.
Oh yes, you did. You were kind and thoughtful, and you helped Sam feel happy. That's the best fairy magic in the world.
So on the surface, although this book may look like it was written especially for girls with 3 X chromosomes, there are some good lessons to be inferred here. Although Sam really shares none of his sister's interests, he's still clearly a devoted big brother, which his sister returns in kind when she does her good deed. The way the two mice play shows a good sort of yes and attitude. Sam never says, "You're not a fairy, you're a mermaid, now get on the ship," or whatever. And Phoebe never says, "You're not a pirate, you're King Oberon." That would have been a neat touch. The way the children play together may seem perfectly natural for them, but if you're the kind of person who improvises a lot, like me, and you make videos where you haven't even scripted them and you kind of use a lot of redundant words and trail off and have to cut yourself off,